Every person holds a vast inner potential that often remains hidden. This potential is not limited to talent, intelligence, or opportunity, but extends to the deep well of creativity, resilience, and vision that lies beneath the surface of ordinary awareness. Many people move through life unaware of the magnitude of strength and possibility within them, carrying instead the weight of self-doubt, fear of failure, or the quiet resignation that life can only unfold in predictable, limited ways. Yet within each individual exists a field of unexpressed energy, waiting to be discovered and shaped into something meaningful. Human potential is often obscured by the noise of daily life. External pressures, expectations, and routines can create a shell around a person, making it difficult to see what lies within. The hidden self does not reveal itself automatically. It must be called forth, often through moments of challenge or deep reflection. When a person is confronted with difficulty, a new kind of strength rises to the surface, one they may not have known they possessed. These experiences serve as reminders that what is hidden is not absent. It is simply waiting for the right conditions to emerge. What makes this inner potential so powerful is its depth. It does not run out like a limited resource. Instead, the more it is accessed, the more it seems to expand. A person who begins to tap into their creativity, for example, often finds that inspiration flows more abundantly with use. Similarly, resilience grows stronger every time one overcomes adversity. This quality of renewal and growth demonstrates that inner potential is not static, but dynamic, unfolding in greater measure the more one engages with it. The mind itself plays a central role in whether this hidden power is discovered or left dormant. Beliefs act as both gateways and barriers. If an individual believes they are small, powerless, or incapable, their potential remains buried beneath layers of doubt. But the moment they begin to imagine themselves differently, to see possibility where they once saw limits, the hidden energy begins to surface. The imagination becomes a bridge between what is concealed and what can be expressed. There is also a mysterious element to hidden potential, as if it resides in a part of the psyche that reveals itself only in glimpses. People often experience this through intuition, sudden insights, or moments of inspiration that arrive without warning. These flashes are evidence of a deeper intelligence within, one that cannot be fully measured by logic or external achievement. To nurture this dimension requires openness, patience, and the courage to trust what arises from within. Another reason potential remains hidden is fear. Fear of judgment, fear of failure, or even fear of success. The act of stepping into one's fullest power often requires breaking away from familiar patterns and stepping into the unknown. Many hesitate here, preferring the safety of limitation over the uncertainty of growth. Yet the paradox is that true fulfillment can only be found in daring to uncover what has long been concealed. To hide one's potential is to deny oneself the richness of life's possibilities. When a person begins to awaken to this inner reservoir, transformation occurs not just in what they do, but in how they see themselves. They no longer view life as something happening to them, but as something they actively shape. The awareness of hidden potential gives rise to confidence, purpose, and a sense of connection to something greater within themselves. Even small expressions of this power, an act of courage, a creative breakthrough, or a resilient recovery, become proof that much more is possible. The process of revealing this potential is lifelong. It unfolds in layers, each discovery leading to another, each achievement opening the door to something greater. No single moment can capture its entirety. Because the human spirit is vast and ever-evolving, what remains constant is the truth that there is always more within us than we can presently see. The hidden potential is not a distant treasure to be found once and for all, but an ongoing source of growth that continues to reveal itself as long as we are willing to explore. Thus, every person carries within them a greatness that may remain concealed until they dare to look inward, to embrace challenge, and to trust the whisper of possibility that calls them forward. This hidden potential is not an exception for the few, but a truth for all, waiting for the moment when it will no longer be hidden but expressed in its fullest form. True achievement begins in the inner world, not the outer. What most people see when they look at success is the visible result, the career, the recognition, the material gains, or the accomplishments that can be measured and admired. Yet these outer expressions are only the surface, the reflection of something far deeper. They are the end result of an inner process that begins quietly, often unseen, in the mind and heart of an individual. To truly achieve anything of value, one must first cultivate the inner foundation upon which external results are built. The inner world is where vision takes shape. Before any invention, discovery, or accomplishment existed in reality, it began as a thought, a dream, or an idea. This realm of imagination and belief serves as the blueprint for what eventually becomes tangible. Without that inner spark, there can be no creation. It is in this space that a person dares to envision possibilities beyond their current circumstances, allowing their mind to travel where their hands have not yet reached. Equally important is the role of self-belief. No matter how skilled or resourceful someone may be, without belief in themselves, their abilities remain dormant. The inner conviction that something can be done fuels the courage to take the first step and the resilience to continue when obstacles appear. Belief is the invisible force that sustains effort in the face of difficulty, and it can only be developed within. This is why those who achieve greatness often emphasize mindset above technique, because technique without belief crumbles under pressure, but belief sustains action until mastery is reached. The inner world also governs discipline and focus. The ability to direct attention, to resist distractions, and to remain committed to a goal arises from inner strength, not external circumstances. A person who has mastered themselves is not swayed by every setback or tempted by every passing comfort. They know that true achievement requires a long, steady commitment, and this steadiness is born from an inner decision to prioritize growth over ease. Without this foundation, external attempts falter. Emotions too play a powerful role in achievement. The outer world is filled with uncertainty, setbacks, and challenges that can overwhelm anyone. Yet within the inner world lies the capacity to regulate emotions, to remain calm under stress, and to transform frustration into determination. Those who achieve greatly are not free of fear or doubt, but they have learned to face these feelings without being ruled by them. Their inner world becomes a place of balance, giving them strength to navigate the chaos of the outer world. The concept of purpose also resides in the inner world. Achievement without purpose often feels hollow, even when it appears impressive to others. When a person connects with an inner sense of meaning, their actions become infused with energy and direction. This alignment creates a deeper satisfaction that no external reward alone can provide. It is this sense of purpose that sustains people when motivation fades, reminding them that their journey is not just about results, but about expressing something true within themselves. The outer world can only mirror what is cultivated within. A mind filled with doubt and negativity will see obstacles at every turn, while a mind grounded in clarity and optimism will recognize opportunities even in difficulty. In this sense, achievement is less about controlling circumstances and more about mastering perception. Two people may face the same challenge, yet one sees defeat while the other sees a chance to grow. The difference lies not in the situation, but in the inner lens through which it is viewed. True achievement also requires imagination that stretches beyond limitations. Many breakthroughs in history occurred because someone refused to accept the boundaries imposed by the outer world. They turned inward, allowing their imagination to guide them toward solutions that had not yet been realized. This ability to envision something greater than the present reality is a distinctly inner act, and it is the seed from which all outer progress grows. Finally, the inner world provides the resilience to continue the journey. The path to achievement is rarely smooth, and external recognition often comes much later than effort. In those long stretches where results are invisible, it is only inner strength that keeps a person moving forward. The quiet voice that says, "Keep going," when there is no evidence of success outside comes from wits thin, and it is this voice that carries a person through the darkest moments until the light of achievement becomes visible. Thus, true achievement is never merely the accumulation of outer success. It is first and foremost the cultivation of an inner state of vision, belief, discipline, purpose, and resilience. Without these, the outer world remains out of reach, but with them, even the most impossible goals begin to take shape. The inner world is the source, the soil, and the foundation. Everything else is the fruit that naturally follows. Awareness of both strengths and shadows is the first step to unlocking power. Many people are quick to celebrate their talents and abilities, yet they turn away from the aspects of themselves they find uncomfortable, undesirable, or even frightening. To know oneself fully requires courage, because it means looking not only at the light that shines, but also at the shadows that lurk beneath the surface. True awareness is not selective. It embraces the whole of who we are, and it is through this complete understanding that genuine strength is born. Strengths are easier to acknowledge. They are the qualities we rely on, the abilities that earn us recognition, and the gifts that make us feel capable and valuable. When people know their strengths, they gain confidence and direction. They learn how to channel these qualities toward meaningful goals. Yet, even here, awareness is essential. A strength that is not recognized or consciously developed often lies dormant, waiting for expression. Many individuals underestimate themselves, unaware of the depth of ability they already carry, because they have not taken the time to truly examine and appreciate their own resources. Shadows, on the other hand, are the traits we hide from others and often from ourselves. They include fears, doubts, insecurities, and impulses that we believe are unacceptable. Society teaches us to suppress these aspects, to put on masks that display only what is admirable. But unacknowledged shadows do not disappear. They operate quietly, influencing our choices, limiting our growth, and holding us back in ways we do not always recognize. A person may struggle with procrastination, fear of rejection, or anger, and without awareness, these forces can sabotage even the strongest intentions. When we bring shadows into awareness, something transformative happens. Instead of being controlled by them unconsciously, we begin to see them for what they are, parts of ourselves that need attention, integration, or redirection. Fear, for example, can paralyze us when hidden, but when acknowledged, it can become a guide that points toward areas of growth. Anger, when denied, can erupt destructively, but when understood, it can fuel passion and determination. In this way, shadows are not enemies but raw energies that, when embraced, can be transformed into power. Awareness of both strengths and shadows creates balance. If one focuses only on strengths, there is a risk of arrogance, overconfidence, or the blind spots that come from ignoring weaknesses. If one focuses only on shadows, there is a risk of self-doubt, shame, or paralysis. But when both are acknowledged, a person gains a realistic picture of themselves. This balance allows for growth rooted in truth rather than illusion. It builds resilience because the individual knows not only what empowers them, but also what challenges them, and therefore they are better prepared to face life's tests. This awareness is also the foundation of authenticity. When people deny parts of themselves, they live fragmented lives, showing only the pieces they believe will be accepted. Yet deep down, they feel the disconnection, the sense that they are not fully themselves. By embracing both light and shadow, individuals step into wholeness. They no longer need to pretend or conceal, because they understand that power does not come from perfection, but from integration. To stand in one's truth, strengths, flaws, and all, is to stand with unshakable confidence. Moreover, this process of self-awareness creates empathy. When we recognize our own shadows, we become less judgmental of others. We see that everyone carries hidden struggles, and this understanding deepens our ability to connect. Power is not only the ability to act, but also the ability to influence and inspire, and nothing inspires more deeply than authenticity, combined with compassion. Awareness of self naturally extends into awareness of others, creating stronger relationships and more meaningful connections. In moments of challenge, this awareness becomes a guiding light. Knowing your strengths allows you to call upon the best within you, while knowing your shadows prevents you from being blindsided by hidden fears or destructive habits. Instead of being thrown off course, you can navigate with clarity, using both strengths and shadows as tools for growth. The journey of achievement is filled with obstacles, and those who understand themselves fully are far better equipped to endure and overcome. To unlock power, one must therefore look inward with honesty. It is not an easy task to face the parts of oneself that are uncomfortable, but it is a necessary step toward freedom. When you know yourself in your entirety, you cannot be easily shaken by external circumstances. Your power comes not from denial or illusion, but from truth, and truth is unbreakable. Every individual carries within them a mix of brilliance and limitation, light and shadow, strength and vulnerability. To pretend otherwise is to live in half-awareness. But to see it all clearly is to unlock a power that is both grounded and expansive, capable of shaping not only your own life, but also the world around you. Awareness of both strengths and shadows does not make you flawless, it makes you whole, and in wholeness lies the greatest power of all. Self-understanding provides access to deeper energy and clarity. To know oneself is to gain entry into an inner reservoir that is often overlooked in the rush of daily life. Many people search outside of themselves for strength, direction, and meaning, but the most profound source of energy lies within. It is not found in external validation, possessions, or fleeting achievements, but in the steady and quiet awareness of who you truly are. When you understand yourself, your motives, your desires, your fears, and your values, you awaken a sense of inner alignment that allows life to flow with greater ease and purpose. At the heart of self-understanding is the ability to recognize what drives you. Every action springs from some inner impulse, whether conscious or unconscious. Without awareness, these impulses can lead to confusion, scattered effort, or choices that do not truly reflect your deepest self. But when you pause to reflect, to ask why you act or feel a certain way, you begin to uncover the patterns that shape your life. This awareness clarifies your decisions, guiding you toward paths that are more aligned with your genuine nature rather than those dictated by expectation or fear. Clarity emerges when the inner noise is understood. The human mind is often clouded with conflicting desires, wanting stability, yet craving adventure, desiring freedom, yet fearing uncertainty. Without understanding, these conflicts drain energy, creating restlessness and indecision. But by examining them honestly, you learn to see what matters most and what is simply distraction. This act of sorting through inner contradictions creates a sharper focus, freeing energy that was once wasted on confusion or conflict. Clarity is not the absence of struggle, but the ability to see through the struggle with discernment. Deeper energy arises because self-understanding eliminates unnecessary resistance. Much of human exhaustion comes not from outer work, but from inner conflict. When a person constantly battles themselves, denying what they truly want, suppressing emotions, or chasing goals that do not resonate, they expend enormous amounts of energy. By contrast, when they accept who they are and align with their authentic desires, that wasted energy is reclaimed. Life begins to feel less like a fight and more like a current that carries them forward. This energy is not something added from outside, it is released from within once the barriers of misunderstanding are removed. Another aspect of self-understanding lies in acknowledging both limitations and potential. Many people live in extremes, either overestimating themselves and facing disappointment, or underestimating themselves and shrinking from opportunities. True self-awareness balances these perspectives, allowing a person to see clearly where growth is needed and where strength already exists. This balanced perspective generates confidence, rooted not in illusion, but in truth. Confidence built on self-knowledge requires less effort to maintain because it is grounded in reality rather than in the fragile need for approval. Clarity also deepens when one learns to understand emotions. Emotions are powerful signals, yet they are often misunderstood or suppressed. Anger may hide a sense of injustice, sadness may signal the need for release, and joy may point to alignment with one's purpose. By understanding emotions instead of fearing them, individuals unlock guidance that leads them closer to truth. This emotional clarity prevents impulsive reactions and allows for wiser responses, conserving energy that would otherwise be scattered in regret or turmoil. Self-understanding also strengthens resilience. When you know yourself, challenges lose their power to overwhelm you because you recognize both your vulnerabilities and your strengths. You understand the conditions under which you falter and the resources you can call upon to recover. This awareness brings steadiness in uncertain times, enabling you to move through difficulties without being consumed by them. Energy is not wasted on panic or denial. It is directed toward adaptation and growth. Creativity flourishes through self-understanding as well. The mind becomes more open when it is not clouded by self-deception. New ideas arise more freely when you are not bound by rigid roles or false identities. The deeper energy that comes from knowing yourself often reveals itself in creative expression, whether in art, problem-solving, or innovation. Clarity allows ideas to emerge from the subconscious with less interference, and this connection to deeper layers of the mind becomes a source of inspiration and originality. Perhaps one of the most profound benefits of self-understanding is the sense of inner peace it brings. Peace does not mean the absence of external problems, it means the ability to remain centered despite them. When you know yourself, you are less swayed by comparison, less shaken by judgment, and less consumed by the need to rove your worth. This inner steadiness conserves energy and allows you to approach life with calm focus. Outwardly, it may appear as quiet confidence. Inwardly, it feels like a steady flame that no storm can extinguish. Ultimately, self-understanding is a doorway. On the other side lies clarity of purpose, the ability to focus energy without waste, and the discovery of deeper reserves of strength than you imagined. It is a practice that requires honesty, reflection, and the willingness to face both light and shadow. Yet once embraced, it grants access to a wellspring of energy that renews itself, and to a clarity that illuminates even the most uncertain path. Alignment between conscious goals and inner drives creates flow, when what you consciously choose to pursue matches the deeper motivations within you. Life begins to move with a rhythm that feels natural, powerful, and effortless. Flow is that state where effort seems almost invisible, where challenges are met with energy rather than resistance, and where progress feels like a natural unfolding rather than a constant struggle. This harmony between the outer intention and the inner impulse is what allows human potential to be expressed most fully. Conscious goals represent the direction you set with deliberate thought. They are the aspirations you articulate, the career you want to build, the health you want to achieve, the skills you want to master, or the dreams you want to turn into reality. These goals serve as markers on the path of growth, but on their own, they can sometimes feel hollow or heavy if they are not supported by the deeper forces within. Many people set goals because they think they should, or because society tells them what success ought to look like. But if these goals do not connect with their inner drives, the pursuit becomes draining rather than energizing. Inner drives are the hidden engines of the psyche. They are the passions, values, and instincts that give life meaning. They often appear in the form of deep desires, unexplained interests, or the sense of being drawn to something larger than yourself. These drives are not always rational or easily explained, but they hold the key to vitality. When ignored, they create tension, because the conscious self may march in one direction, while the inner self quietly resists, pulling attention elsewhere. This split leads to frustration, procrastination, or the sense of always pushing against an invisible barrier. Flow arises when conscious goals and inner drives move as one. Imagine a river. When the current runs smoothly, the water moves with grace, covering great distances with little resistance. But when there are obstacles or conflicting currents, turbulence arises and energy is wasted in chaos. Similarly, when your conscious choices are aligned with your deeper drives, progress feels fluid. The energy that comes from within fuels the journey, and challenges become opportunities to grow rather than reasons to quit. Effort is still required, but it does not feel like a burden, because it is carried by enthusiasm and meaning. This alignment often begins with honesty. Many people pursue goals that look admirable on the surface but secretly conflict with what they truly want. They may chase wealth while yearning for freedom, or pursue recognition while desiring peace. The disconnect between appearance and reality creates inner resistance. To resolve this, one must listen closely to what stirs the heart, to the subtle signals of joy, curiosity, or passion. When goals are adjusted to reflect these deeper drives, clarity emerges, and the work required no longer feels like sacrifice, but expression. Energy is one of the clearest indicators of alignment. When goals align with inner drives, energy seems abundant, even when the work is demanding. Fatigue is replaced by engagement, and long hours feel purposeful rather than draining. By contrast, when goals are misaligned, even simple tasks feel exhausting. This is because energy is not only a physical resource, but also an emotional and psychological one. When the inner and outer worlds are in harmony, energy flows. When they are in conflict, energy leaks away through resistance. Flow also enhances creativity and problem-solving. In alignment, the conscious mind and the unconscious mind cooperate, allowing insights and solutions to arise more naturally. Obstacles no longer appear as insurmountable blocks, but as puzzles that stimulate growth. The mind becomes more adaptable because it is fueled by genuine interest and passion rather than obligation. This is why people often describe being in the zone as a state where ideas seem to appear effortlessly and action feels guided rather than forced. Another effect of alignment is resilience. When goals are rooted in inner drives, setbacks do not easily discourage. Failure becomes tolerable, even valuable, because the pursuit itself is meaningful. The individual is not chasing something external merely for approval, but living in harmony with their authentic self. This inner connection provides strength during difficult times, making persistence a natural outcome rather than a forced effort. Flow also nurtures a sense of time expansion. When fully engaged in aligned activity, time often seems to pass quickly, yet the quality of the experience feels rich and fulfilling. Hours can feel like minutes because the mind is fully absorbed in the present. This immersion not only enhances performance, but also deepens satisfaction, turning effort into joy. Ultimately, alignment between conscious goals and inner drives unlocks the highest form of productivity and fulfillment. It bridges the gap between thought and feeling, between planning and passion. The conscious mind provides direction, while the inner drives supply energy, and together they create a state where achievement is not forced but flows naturally. This state is not rare or reserved for a select few. It is accessible to anyone willing to listen inwardly and align outwardly. When this harmony is found, life ceases to feel like a constant uphill battle and begins to unfold with the effortless rhythm of flow. When aligned, effort feels natural rather than forced. There is a distinct difference between labor that drains the spirit and labor that enlivens it. When a person is misaligned, pursuing something that does not resonate with their deeper values or natural inclinations, every step forward feels heavy, as though they are pushing against themselves. The smallest tasks feel burdensome, and motivation must constantly be manufactured through discipline or external pressure. Yet when a person is aligned, when what they do is in harmony with who they are, the very same effort feels light, purposeful, and even joyful. It does not mean there is no work, but the work no longer feels like struggle. Alignment creates an inner current that carries effort forward. Just as a boat moves more easily with the flow of a river, so too does a person move more easily when their actions match their inner truth. The external work may be intense, demanding focus and persistence, but because it connects to something meaningful within, it feels like an extension of self-expression rather than a forced performance. Energy flows more freely, and the work seems to nourish rather than deplete. This sense of natural effort often reveals itself in the state known as immersion or presence. And aligned, people often lose awareness of time, entering what many call the zone. Hours pass unnoticed because attention is fully engaged, and effort becomes its own reward. Instead of needing to push through resistance, they are drawn into the task by genuine interest. The outer action harmonizes with inner desire, and the result is a kind of effortless productivity that no amount of forced discipline can replicate. Misalignment, by contrast, creates tension. When one's actions are divorced from authentic drives, each step forward feels like friction. The mind resists, emotions protest, and the body often feels drained. The person may still achieve results, but the process feels heavy and the cost is high. They must constantly summon willpower to overcome the lack of harmony, and over time, this leads to exhaustion or disillusionment. This is why many people who appear successful outwardly often feel unfulfilled inwardly. They are expending enormous effort, but it is effort that does not feel natural. Natural effort does not mean the absence of challenge. Even when aligned, there are difficulties to face, obstacles to overcome, and moments of doubt. The difference lies in how these challenges are experienced. When aligned, challenges feel like meaningful tests, opportunities to grow and strengthen. They do not feel like meaningless burdens, but as natural steps along a path that matters. The effort may still be hard, but it is willingly embraced because it resonates with a deeper purpose. One way alignment transforms effort is through the energy it releases. When people do what feels authentic, they tap into reserves of vitality they may not have known existed. Fatigue is replaced by enthusiasm, and persistence comes naturally. This is because alignment reduces inner conflict. The mind is no longer split between what it wants and what it is doing, so energy that would have been wasted on resistance becomes available for action. Effort becomes sustainable because it flows from harmony rather than force. Clarity of intention also plays a role. When people are aligned, they understand why they are doing what they are doing. This clarity sharpens focus and prevents distraction. Work that would normally feel monotonous gains meaning because it is part of a larger vision that resonates with the self. A sense of coherence emerges, linking daily actions with deeper aspirations, and this coherence transforms ordinary effort into purposeful movement. There is also a psychological ease in aligned effort. Instead of constant self-questioning, why am I doing this? Do I even want this? There is acceptance. The inner world and outer action agree, and this agreement produces peace. Decisions become simpler, motivation steadier, and progress more fluid. It is as if the mind and body are no longer fighting each other, but moving as a unified whole toward a shared aim. Creativity flourishes in this state. When effort is natural, the mind is free to explore, adapt, and innovate. Fear of failure diminishes because the work is not a performance for approval, but a genuine expression of self. Ideas flow more easily, and solutions to problems often arise spontaneously. This creative flow further reinforces the sense that effort is not a weight, but a channel through which the self finds expression. When aligned, even rest and recovery take on a different quality. Rest is no an escape from dreaded work, but a natural part of the rhythm of growth. A person feels restored more quickly because the work itself is not draining in the same way misaligned labor is. The cycle of effort and renewal becomes sustainable, allowing long-term engagement without burnout. In the end, effort that feels natural arises when outer action mirrors inner truth. It is not about finding a life without work, but about discovering the kind of work that connects to the core of who you are. In that connection, Effort ceases to feel like compulsion and begins to feel like flow, a movement of energy that is both purposeful and alive. This is the essence of alignment. Effort that strengthens rather than weakens. Effort that feels like growth rather than struggle. Effort that becomes not a burden, but a path to fulfillment. Obstacles are not failures, but invitations for growth and self-discovery. Every difficulty that appears in life carries with it a hidden message, an opportunity to pause, reflect, and rise beyond one's current limitations. Many people perceive obstacles as signs that they are moving in the wrong direction or that they lack the strength to achieve their goals. Yet the truth is often the opposite. Obstacles mark the path of transformation, reminding us that progress is not meant to be effortless. They are the resistance that strengthens, the challenge that awakens dormant abilities, and the mirror that reveals aspects of ourselves we might otherwise never see. When faced with an obstacle, the initial reaction is often frustration, fear, or doubt. These emotions are natural, but they are also indicators that something deeper is being asked of us. An obstacle is not merely a roadblock. It is a summons to shift perspective, to adapt, to discover untapped resilience. By encountering what seems immovable, we begin to notice the limits of our current strategies, beliefs, or attitudes. It is through this confrontation that the process of growth begins. Without resistance, strength would never be developed. Without friction, creativity would remain stagnant. Every person carries within them a vast reservoir of potential, much of which remains hidden until tested by circumstances. Obstacles serve as the key that unlocks these inner reserves. A setback forces ingenuity, a disappointment compels reflection, a challenge invites endurance. These are not punishments but lessons designed to expand what we believe ourselves capable of. Each time an obstacle is faced with courage, new dimensions of self-awareness and personal power are revealed. The obstacle becomes a teacher, and in learning its lessons, the individual becomes more complete. Obstacles also strip away illusions. They show us where we have been overly dependent on ease, comfort, or external validation. When the smooth path disappears, we are confronted with the reality of our own inner landscape. Do we give up easily? Do we crumble under pressure? Or do we summon the patience, discipline, and courage to continue? These moments of trial provide clarity. They show us both our vulnerabilities and our strengths. Far from being failures, obstacles are opportunities to see ourselves more honestly, to embrace both the light and shadow within, and to grow into greater wholeness. Another hidden gift of obstacles is that they redirect us. Sometimes the path we are on is too narrow, too rigid, or not truly aligned with our deeper values. An obstacle appears, and suddenly what once seemed like a setback reveals itself as guidance. It asks us to rethink our approach, to take a different path, or to refine our vision. What initially feels like being blocked often becomes the very force that moves us toward greater alignment with our authentic purpose. The obstacle is not the end of the journey, but a turning point toward a truer destination. Resilience is born in these moments. Without obstacles, resilience would remain only a concept. It is by walking through difficulty that resilience becomes a lived reality. Each obstacle overcome builds confidence, proving to us that we are stronger and more capable than we imagined. The memory of past challenges becomes a well of strength, reminding us that we have endured before and can endure again. This resilience becomes a foundation not just for surviving challenges, but for embracing them as integral to the path of self-discovery. Obstacles also teach patience and humility. They remind us that not everything can be controlled, that life will not always bend to our immediate desires. This recognition does not weaken us. It grounds us. By learning to accept what cannot be changed while working on what can, we discover balance. Patience allows growth to unfold naturally, while humility opens us to wisdom we might otherwise overlook. These qualities deepen character and provide stability that cannot be shaken by temporary setbacks. Creativity is another treasure uncovered by obstacles. When the direct path is blocked, the mind searches for alternatives. New solutions emerge, new ideas take shape, and innovation is born. Many breakthroughs, whether personal or collective, have arisen precisely because obstacles demanded a different approach. In this way, challenges do not diminish progress but expand its possibilities. They invite us to stretch beyond our familiar ways of thinking and acting, unlocking potentials that comfort and ease would never call forth. Perhaps most importantly, obstacles remind us of the dynamic nature of growth. To live is to encounter resistance, to be shaped and refined by challenges. Every difficulty faced and every obstacle overcome becomes part of the narrative of who we are. They give texture to the story of our lives, turning simple paths into journeys of transformation. Without them, life would be flat, predictable, and devoid of the depth that makes self-discovery possible. In this light, obstacles cease to be failures. They are invitations, sometimes subtle, sometimes forceful, to grow, to awaken, and to discover the strength and wisdom already within. They ask us not to retreat, but to step forward with courage, curiosity, and openness. By accepting these invitations, we transform obstacles into stepping stones, and in doing so, we uncover more of who we truly are. Through every challenge, life offers us the chance not just to overcome, but to evolve,